Yeah. Hello, my name is Matthew Rooney. I am from Leicester. I was born in Dudley, Birmingham, but I grew up in Leicester. And this is my testimony before God. Where do I start? This is going to be a long one. So, going back to when I was a child, my dad's a gypsy, my mum's an English woman from Birmingham. Her family's from Birmingham. Growing up as a kid, well, when my dad was alive, we lived in trailers, and he was a heavy drinker. My dad was. He was really abusive. He beat my mum a lot, and he abused some of his kids. So we had my mum got away. The last time I can remember of my dad was the beating he was giving my mum in the trailer. And then she fell to the floor but barely got out, but we couldn't get out. My mum obviously wanted to try and get us, but she couldn't get out the trailer. So basically she ran, and this happened a lot. Like he'd wait till he'd drink himself to sleep, and then she'd come and get us, and then we'd leave again. She'd bring us all, you know what I mean, away from them, the violence and all that there. So that went on for a while until I was about, I think 8 years of age, 7 years of age. And then the last time I went, she left, and we were in Leicester in a hotel. And we were in Leicester in a hotel. I remember the same hotel, Knight's Hotel, to get a phone call from the hotel saying, one of my dad's people phoned up saying, oh, my dad's killed himself, he's hung himself, you know what I mean? So basically I didn't tell none of my family what happened to me all that time, all them years suffering. That's where my depression, my anxiety come from, that there. But I didn't tell anybody in my family. I've kept it in myself all them years. And I used to think that it happened to my other kids, it happened to my other siblings, like my sisters and brothers and that. So I didn't know, but I've kept it in. I kept it all to myself. And I had bad anxiety over it, depression, like nightmares, all suffering through that way, you know what I mean? So I didn't know how to approach anybody about it, you know what I mean? So I kept it in till 7 weeks ago. I've just been saved 7 weeks ago, by God, thank God. But 7 weeks ago, I finally got the courage up to tell my mum, you know what I mean? What happened. And when I told her, I broke down crying. But before that, going back to obviously having no father and being a gypsy, I had to bring myself up. My mum, bless her, she tried her best to do things for us, like to put us to school and that, because that back then school, it was hard for travellers to live back then, you know what I mean? And it's not that, it was just like a culture thing. People didn't know your culture properly. You know what I mean? You're going into the unknown sort of thing. People are weird and funny at that sort of stuff. So I was the same myself going into school. But obviously, bless her, she tried, but because being a gypsy, it wasn't happening, you know what I mean? It wasn't happening, so I've gone on the road of, we've moved back to Leicester. We're in Leicester now, we're in a house in Leicester, Reef Close, in Beaumont Leys. And that's where I started growing up from when my dad died, obviously, killing himself. And growing up around there, I got into like gangs in around that area. And obviously a lot was happening. I was smoking weed, drinking, smoking fags, doing all sorts of things, being with girls, you know. As a young boy, like about 11, I started smoking weed from 11, so we were robbing out of people's cars, we were breaking into shops, robbing out of shops, robbing post office shops at the age of 11. And then obviously that went on for a while, up until the age of 13 years of age. Some of the lads that I used to hang around with then, when I was robbing cars, out of sheds, out of everything like that there, I bumped into one of them again, another lad. I'm not going to say his name, but this was another person in the gang. And two of them like that I knew were on taking other drugs, you know what I mean? And I knew like what obviously weed was, and I knew this was a drug, heroin, but I didn't know what the drug done to you, you know what I mean? I didn't understand what the drug done to you physically, because I've had no schooling, so I didn't understand. I've had no teaching about drugs, you know what I mean? But I just knew it was a drug. And obviously I tried, I asked him what was that like, and he said, oh, it's just like weed, you know what I mean? And that's the truth, what he said, so I tried it. And obviously me, the way I was suffering with my mental health and that there, my depression was the worst one. Depression is the worst out the lot, you know what I mean? So me suffering with that, when I've tried this drug, it took all that away. It took everything away like that. And I thought, wow, this is nice, you know what I mean? I like this took the feeling away, but I didn't know the physical effects, what the heroin could do to you physically. And it's the devil himself. That drug is the devil. And I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, and that is the truth. But before I knew it, 2 weeks, before I knew it, things started happening to me. Now I know what it is now because I've been through it a lot, you know what I mean? The withdrawals, the suffering, the aches, the pains, the belly aches, the taste, everything that comes with it, it is nasty. But not only that, the worst thing is you're suffering for like, if you tried to stop it, you're suffering for weeks, months. The longest I've suffered trying to get off heroin, and the only way that happened the first times was going to prison. But the longest I've suffered was nearly 3 months solid, and I hardly like had a half an hour sleep here and there every day. This was for 3 months. That's how bad the drug is, you know what I mean? And then obviously I was smoking crack cocaine, but the worst one was heroin for me. But obviously when I got on that drug, that's when other things started happening, like burglaries, robberies, robbing drug dealers, doing all sorts of bad crimes. I was robbing old people, I was robbing the jewellery. I'd literally, there's not many things that I ain't done for robbing over this drug, because it obviously it wasn't just, it made me worse as well. When I smoke it, I feel that the anxiety, depression will go away. But when I'm still on it, I can't explain honestly. It's hard. I suffered through it a lot, honestly. The drug is the devil himself. So basically the drug had me on a roller coaster. It stopped me depression only for that night. So the next day, I'm back to normal, same thing, depression, anxiety. It never went away because it was mentally in my head. I couldn't get rid of that mental scar in my head, what's happened to me as a kid, you know what I mean? So I carried that on my life, but the drug made things worse. The crack made things worse. The money that the devil was giving me, and to make me smoke, the more I smoked the drugs, the more money the devil had given me. So when I started on that, it went to burglaries, like proper burglaries. It went to like breaking into factories, shops, robbing safes. So basically the worst ones was robbing the old people and robbing their jewellery, you know what I mean? And the money that he was giving me, thousands, the devil was giving me thousands of pounds, but it was literally, he was giving me that, and I realise now he was giving me that to kill myself. He was killing me. The money I'm making, he was killing me with it. So not only that, I've ended up in jail so many times. The first time I went to jail was Glenparva. First rattle I ever done in there was, felt like I was climbing the walls. Literally felt like I was climbing the walls. The pain and the suffering that it causes, and honestly, I can't even explain how bad the suffering is. It's the worst one is you can't eat, you can't sleep, the taste, and then the pains that you get, physically pains you get mentally and physically. You literally wanna kill yourself. You're begging to be dead. But obviously, and thank God, that never happened to me that time, you know what I mean? But this is going on through my life now. All my life I'm doing this, all my life. Up until 7 weeks ago I got saved. 7 weeks ago, all my life I'm robbing. All my life I'm burgling, I'm robbing people's cars, I'm robbing drug dealers, I'm doing so much bad things the devil has had me doing. I didn't realise at the time that it was the devil all the time doing this to me. I didn't understand. I just thought it was because of what's happened to me from when I was a kid up until the age of 7 weeks ago, until I was 40. So basically, can I say the last time I went in jail was, I got nearly 7 years. I done a long time, and I didn't think about obviously what drug dealers were doing to me by killing me from the devil. I know it's to work with the devil now by selling people drugs. And while he was killing me, I didn't realise, and I started selling drugs myself. I've sold heroin on the streets. I've sold crack on the streets. I have, when I was in the prison this time in Ramby, the last sentence I've ever done in Ramby, I was on a wing and I was selling drugs for 2 years on a wing. I had a shop and I was literally had fellas running up and down the jail selling drugs, holding me phones, grabbing people, like going to their family. I can only imagine now how much their families were suffering by me selling them kids in that jail drugs. Well, men were, you know what I mean, but selling them drugs for 2 years. There was fellas going behind the doors. There was fellas, honestly, and going to the, obviously to the officers to get moved away from the jails. And it causes a lot of trauma for the families, never mind the fellas, except me by selling it is killing them, you know what I mean? It's literally killing them. And have you heard of spice, and literally, have you seen some people, the way they have member attacks on that stuff, and you honestly see the devil by staring at them. And I've seen it, and I didn't realise, obviously then it was the devil doing all this work, you know what I mean, and this suffering that it was causing. And I should have realised that myself, but I realise it now. What I was doing was it's wrong. I know it's wrong, you know what I mean? So basically I got out of jail. I was off everything, but the pain was still there. All my suffering was still there. The anxiety, the depression, all of that was still there, because it's never left me from a kid. Back on drugs up until like 4 years. I think I've been nearly out of jail from that sentence, 4 years. And I've been on drugs hard again then. After a while, I've had failed relationships, 3 different women with 3 kids for 3 different women. I've had failed relationships over the drugs again, you know what I mean? So it's caused that for me, and then obviously pain for my family. I can only imagine how much suffering I put my mum through over the drug as well, you know what I mean? And because every parent that loves their kids is going to be worried and be suffering over the kid being on drugs, you know what I mean? So I didn't, when you're on it and I'm suffering that way, it didn't register in my head at all. None of it registered in my head. So basically, leading up to all of this, to 4 years out of jail, leading up to it, I was back on everything again. I was back out robbing, doing all the same crazy stuff what the devil was making me doing. Robbing people's cars in front of them, you know, car converters off the car, and we're ballied up. We were going out in gangs, ballied up, and we're doing that with burglaries, robbing Asian people's houses, but ballied up in front of people, and they're coming out of houses, and we're telling them to get away. You know what I mean? We're all there, tooled up. I've sold guns to other gangs. You know what I mean? There's so much sinning I've done. I know it's not different from one sin from another. It's no different, but all the sinning I've done is just unbearable, you know what I mean? But I'm coming to the end of it. To the end, I've rented this place out in Leicester. It was supposed to be a studio, but it was only a garage meant into a flat, and I was doing that much drugs and on that much drugs in there. I thought I was hallucinating one time. I thought I was hallucinating, and Jesus appeared to me. Jesus literally appeared to me, and this is my settee here. There's my bed here, right here. I've got a bed, but I've got a box underneath my bed. It's a white box, see-through one. It's a see-through box with a lid on it. It's under my bed, and I looked, and I see Jesus staring at me. He's staring at me with a sad face. I thought I was going crazy at the time because of everything going on in my life. I literally thought I was going crazy. I took my phone out, and the God's honest truth, I took a picture of it. It went from his sad face looking at me to Jesus on a cross. He literally went on a cross. And I kid you not, I didn't realize, I thought the drugs literally sent me gone. And the next day I went to my nephew. He's a Christian for 4 years, and I went to him, I showed him this phone. Before that, I broke my house up in bits, I smashed everything up. You know what I mean? Because the devil was attacking me. He made me cut my wrists. The same time this was happening, he made me cut my wrists. I was smashing plates off my head. I was breaking glass windows, mirrors. I literally flat packed my room, And I just dropped to my knees. I couldn't handle it. I just dropped to my knees and I prayed to Jesus and please, Jesus, help me. I can't do this no more. I literally cannot do this no more because I just felt like I was a hamster on a wheel, and my life would just kept repeating itself, repeating jail, drugs, robbing, jail, drugs, robbing, jail, drugs. So I'd done that all my life, and that's all I've known that. But the worst one for me was the anxiety and the depression. I could not get rid of that. I sometimes get off the drugs. I couldn't stay off them because I wanted that feeling gone again, so I got back on drugs. But when Jesus was looking at me, I didn't understand. I didn't know what it was. And then I took the picture, went from on the cross. So I went to my nephew the next day, when this was after all this happened. I know it was the devil now, because I could hear demonic noises out my windows for 3 nights. Literally demonic noises out my window. I didn't understand that. I literally thought, I'm going mad here. I'm literally going mad. I go to my nephew, and he's a Christian. And I said, what do you see there on the phone? And I looked, and he said, where's that? I said, that's Jesus, Uncle Tom, on the cross. It's Jesus on the cross, he said. I said, I know. I said, he said, where was that? I said, it was in the room, but I never told him what happened that time, you know what I mean? So I phoned my sister. I had to phone my sister. She's a Christian for 12 years. And the minute I told her, I said, Jesus appeared to me. I said, I took a picture, he was looking at me sad. His face was looking at me sad. And when I took the picture, I said, Eileen, I said, he went from on a cross. I said, what does it mean? I was still confused. I didn't know what it meant. So she said, I was praying for 12 years for this, Tom. She said, I've been praying to God for 12 years for this. I said, what? And she said, I told her, like, he was looking at me sad. I said, what does that mean? And she said, he's looking at you sad for how you were living your life, all your life, and what you've gone through all your life. And the minute she said that, it hit me. It literally hit me. And I said, yeah, but what about the cross? I said, what does that mean? I didn't know what that meant then, you know what I mean? I wanted to know. I wanted to know. And she said, well, he's telling you now that you don't have to take no more suffering. He's taking all that on him. He's taking that away from you. Lay that all on him, she told me. And the minute she said that, I felt calm. I felt, you know what I mean? I still had them, all the addictions, everything going on at this time, everything in my head, like all the mental, the depression is the worst. That there, I'd pray for no kid or anybody to have that illness. That is an illness a doctor cannot even get rid of. In mental stuff like that, a doctor can prescribe you medication, but they can never sort the problem. Doctors can do many things, but they can never get rid of depression, anxiety, stress, and the thoughts that's in your head. Them mental scars a doctor can't get rid of. But Jesus, as soon as I got Jesus appeared to me, and as soon as I got baptized, and I kid you not, when I went down into that water, all my suffering and all the stuff I had in my life from a kid up until 7 weeks ago, it was the 4th of last month, July 4th of last month, up until then, I suffered great by the devil. I tell you, I'm telling you, I suffered great. But when I went down into that water and got baptized, and when I truly understand now what it means to be dying to your whole life, and that there is all the rubbish you've been through in all your life. And then when you rise, I really knew what that meant when I come up, because you knew in Christ. And when I come up, all the problems I had, the worst one was the feelings inside me, the anxiety, the depression. They were killing me, and the mental scars were eating me up, and all of them were gone. Never mind the smoking, the crack, cocaine that I've been doing all my life, the heroin, that there's physically, mentally evil, that there's evil, that's from the devil. All stuff like that are from the devil. The robbing, the bad thoughts, everything. When I come up, everything was gone. I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, I don't drink, I don't have bad thoughts no more. Everything, I am washed clean. I feel brand new, and then only God could take that away. A doctor could not do that for me, but God took all that away from me. And the peace I've got, I go down to beautiful woodlands, I'm singing to the top of my voice. I couldn't even speak. I couldn't speak before. I couldn't speak to, especially a house full of people of God. You know what I mean? Godly children. I couldn't speak in front of one person like this. I couldn't get conversation out. But as soon as honestly, God, it just opened up my eyes. You know, the colours of the trees, the plants, animals are literally coming up to me. Creatures from God are coming up to me, honestly, and I see everything. And now my eyes are open. I can see like the evilness that spirits are clinging to people. You know what I mean? So all I want to say is anybody who is suffering with mental illnesses they know what you're feeling and they know what I'm on about. Please seek the Lord's help, because the only person can help you with your mental scars is God. God can heal you. God can take all that away from you. I'm telling you, just put your trust in God and He will fix you up. He will make your mind brand new, your soul, your heart. He will make you know the feeling inside. I just can't explain how beautiful I feel inside, and I wish that for you. And please, doctors won't help you. You know that. They can help in other ways. Yes, definitely. We need doctors, but God is the only power that can help you in that way. So please give yourself to Jesus. So basically, since I've been saved, 2 days after, I've set people free from demons. But there was this one fella, because I knew God was sending me to him, because when I'm looking at people now and I'm feeling sorry for them, I'm wanting to help them straight away. So the second day, and I think it was the third day, my nephew was with me. He was in the McDonald's. There was a fella sitting down on the wall, and he had one leg, and he literally was smoking spice on the floor of the McDonald's. And since God's come into my life, I've gone over to this fella, and I would have never done this before, like gone over and put my hand straight on him, and I just asked him, can I pray for you? And this fella knows who you are, and I prayed for him. When I prayed for him, his body started shaking, his chest started vibrating like boom, 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 and then his head started going back and forward like that there, and he went from a man speaking normal to gibbering, and I sort of got a bit scared of it first, because it was new to me. I didn't know what was happening, and then so I finished praying on him anyway. My nephew was there to witness that as well, and that's the power of God. And I didn't know, but God just sent me to do that automatically. And then from there, this Kevin, who I'm with today, Fisher's Ministries, come up to Leicester to see me, and there was this young girl come up, and Kevin said, like, lay hands on her, pray, command it to be gone at her shoulder. She said she was suffering with her shoulder, and I put my hand on her, I commanded her to be healed in the name of Jesus, and she was healed. And then another Asian man come over with his leg. He said he had problems with his leg, and I put my hand on his leg, and I just knew then, from then, I knew straight away, and everything else is going on. God is a miracle worker. He's still working miracles in people's life. God is here. God is real. He's got to understand me. You truly know when the peace comes over you. I pray to God in heaven that you will receive what I've received, and you truly know that God is who He is. I would like to pray for anybody who needs healing in their heart, who needs Jesus in their heart. So I pray in the name of Jesus Christ. I heal you in the name of Jesus Christ, and I pray to God that He comes into your life like He did mine. And I pray for your families. I pray for all people out there who need it, and especially the sinners. I pray to God in heaven that God will guide you as how He guided me, and come into your life like He did to mine, in the name of Jesus Christ.